During my sister's birthday celebration, while everyone was laughing and the music was pulsing through the house, I caught a strange, muffled thud coming from behind her closed bedroom door. Something about that sound felt wrong, out of place among all the joy. I pushed the door open without knocking, and the sight in front of me stopped my heart. My wife was on her knees in front of my brother-in-law, his belt already loosened, her hands in places they had no right to be. Instinct took over before thought could. My fist flew and landed square on his jaw with a crack that shook the bedside lamp. He staggered backward, clutching his face and swearing through bloodied lips. In that same instant, the closet door flew open and my sister came charging out, pale and shaking, as if she'd been trapped in a nightmare. "Jake, stop, please just stop," she begged, her voice trembling so hard it barely held together. "Sit down. I have to tell you something before you do anything else." Her eyes weren't filled with anger toward me, they were wide with terror. What she said next didn't simply wound me, it completely rearranged the way I saw the world. I had always looked up to Adam, my brother-in-law. He had that effortless charisma, the kind that made people gravitate toward him the moment he entered a room. When he married my sister Emily, I genuinely believed she'd found the perfect partner. And my wife Sarah, she had come into my life when I was at my lowest, when I owned almost nothing. She cupped my face, kissed the marks life had left on me, and told me she loved the quiet steadiness I carried inside. I never imagined the deepest cuts could come from the very people I had handed my entire heart to without hesitation. Emily closed the bedroom door and leaned against it as though she were barricading us from the rest of the party. "This wasn't an affair," she whispered. "It was a trap set for you." The words felt too heavy to land properly. They hung in the air like smoke. She took a shaky breath and kept going. "Adam and Sarah had been scheming for months to ruin me. Financially, legally, completely. They wanted me painted as violent and unstable, so they could strip me of my position in the company and force me out of my own life." My pulse slowed to an icy, deliberate rhythm. I looked at Sarah. She couldn't meet my eyes and her chin quivered, not from guilt but from raw fear. Emily's voice broke as she explained they had been recording everything, deliberately trying to provoke me into exactly the reaction I'd just given them. Adam groaned from the floor and snarled at Emily. "Why the hell did you tell him?" I took one step toward him and he went silent. In that moment the life I thought I had turned to cinders, but out of those ashes rose something colder and sharper than rage. Perfect, unflinching clarity. Suddenly every late-night text Sarah had angled her phone away for, every business trip Adam took despite barely working, every fleeting glance they shared at family gatherings snapped into place like the final pieces of a horrific puzzle. Instead of collapsing, I began to build. I never confronted them that night. I swallowed the fury, apologized for hitting Adam, let Sarah cry into my shirt with her rehearsed excuses, and nodded along when he mumbled that he'd been drunk and nothing had really happened. Emily and I exchanged one long look across the room. An unspoken alliance forged in that darkness. Over the next 6 weeks I moved like a ghost with a purpose. First, I placed tiny invisible cameras and smoke detectors, screw heads, anywhere they would never think to look. Second, I hired a private investigator who tore through Adam's financial records and uncovered a maze of secret accounts, fraudulent transfers, and money siphoned from the company. Third, I mirrored Sarah's phone, backed up her cloud, and archived every damning message and call. She wasn't only being unfaithful, she was orchestrating my downfall. Fourth, I quietly protected everything I owned. Shifted funds, rewrote my will, temporarily transferred my company shares into Emily's name. Fifth, I gathered evidence so airtight no judge or jury could ever question it. Every night I lay beside Sarah in our bed, listening to the steady rhythm of her breathing, while I tightened the noose she believed she was slipping around my neck. 2 months later the company hosted its annual shareholders gala. Black tie, cameras flashing, the ideal stage. I invited both of them. They arrived smiling, certain I had swallowed their story and moved on. I greeted them warmly, the calmest man in the room. When the formal speeches began, I tapped my phone once. The massive screen behind the podium flickered to life. Their private text messages appeared in giant, unforgiving letters. "Sarah. He's so easy to manipulate, he'll crack any day now. Adam. Keep the camera rolling, cry harder, say he hurt you. Sarah, once he swings we take everything." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Then came the audio, crystal clear. recorded in that very bedroom the night of the party. Their voices laying out the entire plan, laughing about how perfectly I would play the violent fool. Adam shot to his feet, face purple, shouting nonsense. Sarah's hands shook so badly her wine glass clattered against the table, black streaks of mascara carving rivers down her cheeks. I never raised my voice. I simply moved to the next slide. Spreadsheets of embezzled funds, bank records, forged signatures, emails time-stamped and undeniable. Security appeared at Adam's side. He didn't resist. He looked like a man being marched to his own execution. Sarah lunged toward me across the table, clutching my sleeve, sobbing my name. I stepped back, leaving an ocean of cold distance between us. After the banquet, I walked alone to the parking garage. The night air bit sharp against my skin. Sarah came running after me, heels clicking, voice cracking. "Jake, please, we can fix this, I swear." "No," I answered, so quietly the wind almost stole it. "You spent months trying to break me because you thought I was weak. You kept pushing, waiting for me to shatter." Tears carved clean tracks through her ruined makeup. I leaned in just enough for her to hear the whisper. "You're begging for mercy now, but you never once offered it to me." She dropped to her knees on the cold concrete, the exact same posture I'd found her in months earlier. This time I didn't swing. I simply turned and walked away. People think revenge roars and explodes. Doesn't. It's measured footsteps, locked doors, signed affidavits, evidence presented without passion. It's watching the architects of your ruin collapse under the weight of their own design. I didn't destroy Adam and Sarah. They built their own gallows, rope by rope, lie by lie. All I did was pull the trapdoor and let the truth do the rest.